The blood on her feet left crimson stains against the white snow. Each footprint a testament to desperation that would haunt Carter Irving for the rest of his days. He had been riding hard through the Wyoming Territory on that bitter January morning in 1878, his breath visible in frozen clouds as he guided his horse along the mountain trail toward Johnson City. The cold bit through his heavy coat, and he was cursing himself for taking the shortcut through the high country when he saw her. At first, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him, that the harsh winter sun reflecting off the endless white was creating mirages. But as he drew closer, his heart lurched with recognition that what he saw was real and terrifying. A woman stumbled through the snow ahead of him, her thin cotton dress torn and dirty, her dark hair tangled and wild around her shoulders. Most horrifying were her feet, bare and bleeding, leaving those terrible marks with every agonized step she took. She moved like someone in a trance, arms wrapped around herself, her skin pale as the snow surrounding her. Carter dug his heels into his horse's flanks and closed the distance quickly. When he was close enough that she should have heard the hoofbeats, she still did not turn. He pulled up beside her and dismounted in one fluid motion, his boots crunching in the snow. "Madam," he called out, his voice rough with concern and cold. "Madam, stop, you need help." She kept walking, her eyes unfocused, her lips blue with cold. He moved in front of her, blocking her path, and she finally stopped. Her gaze lifted to his face, and he found himself looking into eyes so brown they were almost black, eyes that held depths of pain he could not begin to fathom. "Please," she whispered, the word barely audible. "Please let me die." "Not today," Carter said firmly. Without waiting for permission, he swept her up into his arms. She was light as a bird, her body trembling violently against his chest. He could feel the ice crystals in her hair against his neck, the terrible cold radiating from her skin. She struggled weakly. "No, please, he will find me. He will kill us both." "Nobody is killing anybody," Carter said, carrying her to his horse. "Can you hold on if I put you in the saddle?" She did not answer, her head lolling against his shoulder. That decided matters. He managed to mount his horse while holding her, settling her across his lap, wrapping his heavy coat around both of them. She was so cold it frightened him. He had seen men die of exposure before, had seen the way frostbite could steal fingers and toes, the way hypothermia could make a person confused and irrational. This woman was dangerously close to that edge. "Stay with me," he murmured against her hair, kicking his horse into a fast trot. "Johnson City is only a few miles ahead. Stay with me." She said nothing, but he felt her shiver against him, which he took as a good sign. He had heard that when people stopped shivering, that was when you really had to worry. He urged his horse faster, grateful that the animal was sure-footed even in the snow. The ride to Johnson City felt eternal. Carter talked to her the whole way, nonsense mostly, anything to keep her conscious. He told her about his ranch just outside town, about his horses, about the weather, about anything he could think of. Sometimes she responded with a small sound that might have been acknowledgement. Mostly she just trembled against him, her breathing shallow and rapid. When the buildings of Johnson City finally came into view, relief flooded through him. The town was small but growing, perched in a valley surrounded by the massive peaks of the Wyoming mountains. Smoke rose from chimneys, and even from a distance, he could see people moving about their business on the main street. It was not much, but it had a doctor, and that was what mattered. He guided his horse directly to Dr. Samuel Patterson's office, a small building near the center of town. Carter dismounted awkwardly, keeping the woman secure in his arms, and kicked at the door with his boot. "Doc," he shouted. "Doc Patterson, I need you." The door swung open, and Dr. Patterson, a graying man in his 50s with kind eyes behind wire spectacles, took one look at the woman in Carter's arms and stepped aside immediately. "Bring her in, bring her in." "What happened?" "Found her walking barefoot in the snow, miles out on the mountain trail," Carter said, carrying her to the examination table. "She is frozen half to death." Dr. Patterson was already moving, pulling blankets from a cabinet, stoking the fire in the small stove that heated his office. "Set her down gently. How long has she been outside?" "I do not know. I have no idea how long she was out there before I found her." The doctor began his examination, his movements efficient but gentle. He checked her pulse at her wrist and throat, looked into her eyes, examined her feet with a grim expression that made Carter's stomach clench. "The frostbite is bad," Dr. Patterson said quietly. "But I think we can save her feet if we are careful. Her core temperature is dangerously low. We need to warm her slowly. Too fast and we could kill her." Carter stood there feeling helpless, his hands clenched at his sides. The woman's eyes were closed now, her breathing so shallow he had to watch carefully to see her chest rise and fall. Dr. Patterson brought heated blankets, wrapped her carefully, positioned her near the stove but not too close. He prepared a basin of lukewarm water and began to carefully clean and warm her feet. "Who is she?" the doctor asked. "I do not know. She did not tell me her name. She said someone would find her, said he would kill us both." Carter ran a hand through his dark hair. "Doc, someone hurt her. You can see it in her eyes." Dr. Patterson's mouth tightened into a grim line. "I can see evidence of it in more than her eyes, Carter. This woman has been through hell." He looked up, meeting Carter's gaze. "You did a good thing bringing her here. Another hour in that cold and she would not have survived." Carter pulled up a chair and sat down heavily. He could not seem to make himself leave, could not shake the image of her walking through the snow, leaving those bloody footprints, asking him to let her die. What had happened to her? Who had she been running from? "Should I get the sheriff?" he asked. The doctor considered this, then shook his head. "Let her wake up first. Let her decide what she wants to do. If someone is hunting her, bringing in the law might not be the wisest move until we know more." Carter nodded slowly. That made sense, though it did not sit easy with him. If someone had hurt this woman, he wanted them to pay for it. But Dr. Patterson was right. They needed to wait, to hear her story. Time passed slowly. Dr. Patterson worked on her feet, applying salve and wrapping them carefully in bandages. He checked her temperature regularly, adjusted the blankets, got a few spoonfuls of warm broth into her when she stirred enough to swallow. Carter stayed, unable to make himself leave, though he knew he had work waiting at his ranch. His foreman, Jacob, would handle things. Jacob always did. It was nearly dark when she finally opened her eyes fully. Carter had been dozing in his chair, exhausted from the cold ride and the emotional weight of the day. Her voice, stronger than before but still barely above a whisper, brought him instantly alert. "Where am I?" "Johnson City, Wyoming," Dr. Patterson said gently, moving to her side. "You are safe. This is my office. I am Dr. Patterson. The man who found you is Carter Irving." Her eyes found Carter and he saw recognition there, along with something that might have been gratitude or might have been fear. It was hard to tell. "Thank you," she said. "You should not have helped me. It is dangerous." "More dangerous to leave a woman freezing to death in the snow," Carter said, leaning forward in his chair. "What is your name?" She hesitated, her eyes darting to the windows as if expecting to see someone looking in. When she spoke, her voice was so quiet he had to strain to hear. "Lily." "Lily Morgan." "Who hurt you, Lily?" Her face crumpled and tears spilled down her cheeks. "My husband, Randall Morgan. He is a terrible man and I could not take it anymore. I ran, but I had no shoes. He took them all and locked them away so I could not leave. So I ran anyway, because I thought dying in the snow was better than staying another day. The rage that surged through Carter was instant and fierce. He had seen a lot in his 32 years, had dealt with outlaws and rustlers and all manner of bad men, but something about what had been done to this woman struck him differently. She had chosen death over staying with her husband. What kind of monster did that to another person? "Where is he now?" Dr. Patterson asked gently. "Our cabin is about 10 miles from here, up in the hills. He went to town yesterday, said he would be gone a few days. I knew it was my only chance." Fresh tears spilled over. "But he will come looking for me when he gets back. He will kill anyone who has helped me." "Let him try," Carter said, his voice hard. Lily turned to look at him, really look at him for the first time. He saw her take in his weathered face, the stubble on his jaw, the hard set of his shoulders. He was not a small man, standing over 6 feet with the kind of solid build that came from years of ranch work. His dark hair needed cutting and his blue eyes were serious. "You do not understand," she said. "Randall is dangerous. He has killed men before. He has no fear of the law because his brother is the law in our county." "What county?" Dr. Patterson asked. "Carbon County. His brother is Sheriff Martin Morgan in Rawlins." Carter and the doctor exchanged glances. That complicated matters considerably. If her husband's brother was the sheriff, going through official channels would be difficult at best, impossible at worst. "Then we will deal with it another way," Carter said. "Right now you need to rest and heal. We will figure out the rest." "I have no money," Lily said, fresh despair creeping into her voice. "I cannot pay you for your help." "Did I ask for payment?" Dr. Patterson said kindly. "Rest now, Lily. You are safe here." But Carter could see in her eyes that she did not believe it, that she did not think anywhere would be safe. And looking at the fear carved into her features, the terrible evidence of what she had suffered in her bare feet and thin dress in the frozen Wyoming winter, he made a decision. He did not know this woman. He had only just met her. But something in him had shifted the moment he saw her in the snow, and he knew he was not going to walk away until she was truly safe. Over the next few days, Lily stayed in a room above Dr. Patterson's office. The doctor's wife, Martha, had helped her bathe and given her clean clothes, old things that had belonged to their daughter who had moved east. Lily's feet were healing slowly, though the doctor said it would be weeks before she could walk properly again. The frostbite had been severe, but miraculously, she would keep all her toes. Carter visited every day, bringing food, sitting with her, talking to her. At first, she was wary, flinching if he moved too quickly, watching him with those dark eyes that held so much pain. But gradually, she began to relax. She told him her story in pieces, the words coming slowly, painfully. She had married Randall Morgan 3 years ago when she was only 19. He had seemed charming at first, attentive and kind, but the mask had slipped quickly after the wedding. He was cruel in ways both large and small, controlling every aspect of her life, punishing her for perceived slights. The isolation of their cabin in the hills meant no one saw what happened there. No one heard her cries. His brother, the sheriff, knew but did not care. Family was family, and in their eyes, what a man did with his wife was his own business. "I tried to leave before," Lily said one afternoon as Carter sat beside her bed, both of them watching the snow fall outside the window. 2 years ago. I made it as far as the main road before he caught me. That was when he started locking away my shoes, said if I had nowhere to run I would stop trying." "But you did not stop trying," Carter said. "No," she agreed, a ghost of something that might have been pride crossing her face. "I did not stop trying." Carter found himself drawn to her in ways he did not fully understand. It was not just her beauty. though she was beautiful even with the shadows in her eyes and the hollows in her cheeks that spoke of too little food and too much suffering. It was her strength. She had walked barefoot through the snow, preferring death to captivity. That took a kind of courage he could not help but admire. He told her about his ranch, about the life he had built here in Wyoming. He had come west after the war, looking for a fresh start, for land where a man could make something of himself. He had 160 acres, good grazing land, a small herd of cattle, and a dozen horses. It was not much compared to the big spreads, but it was his, built with his own hands and sweat. "It sounds wonderful," Lily said wistfully, "to have something that is yours, to be free." "You are free now," Carter said. She shook her head. "Not while Randall is alive. He will never stop looking for me." That night, Carter lay awake in his bed at the ranch, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what Lily had said. She was right. Men like Randall Morgan did not just let go. He would come looking for her, and when he found her, he would hurt anyone who had helped her. Carter should have been afraid. Any sensible man would have been. But all he felt was a cold, hard determination. He was not going to let anything happen to Lily. Somehow, over the course of a few days, she had become important to him. The thought of anyone hurting her again made his blood boil. A week after he found her, Carter was in town buying supplies when he heard the news. A man was asking questions, showing a sketch, looking for a missing woman. The description matched Lily perfectly. Carter found the man at the saloon, a large, hard-faced individual with cold eyes and a mean set to his mouth. This was Randall Morgan. Carter knew it instinctively. He approached carefully, keeping his hand near his pistol. "Heard you are looking for someone." Randall turned, his gaze assessing and dismissive. "My wife. She wandered off, probably got confused. She is not right in the head sometimes." He tapped his temple. "I am worried sick about her." The lie was so blatant it took effort for Carter not to react. "What does she look like?" Randall described Lily, then pulled out a sketch. It was a good likeness, probably drawn by someone who knew her well. "Have you seen her?" "Can't say I have," Carter lied smoothly. "But I will keep an eye out. What is your name in case I hear anything?" "Randall Morgan. My brother is the sheriff in Rawlins, so if you hear anything, you can contact him too." It was said with just a hint of threat, a reminder that he had powerful connections. Carter nodded, keeping his expression neutral. "I will do that. Hope you find her soon." He left the saloon and headed directly to Dr. Patterson's office. He found Lily sitting in a chair by the window, her bandaged feet propped on a stool. She looked better than she had a week ago, some color in her cheeks, some life returning to her eyes. That would all disappear the moment he told her Randall was in town. "He is here," Carter said without preamble. "Your husband. He is in town asking questions, showing a sketch." All the blood drained from Lily's face. "He found me." "He has not found you yet," Carter corrected. "He is asking around, but I did not tell him anything. Neither will Doc or Martha." He crouched beside her chair, taking her hand. Her fingers were ice cold. "But we need to get you somewhere safe. He will search every building in town if he has to." "Where can I go?" Lily's voice was shaking. "He will never stop. Never." An idea had been forming in Carter's mind for days, ever since he had started visiting her, ever since he had begun to realize how much he cared about what happened to her. It was crazy and impulsive, but it might be the only way to keep her safe. "Marry me," he said. Lily stared at him like he had lost his mind. "What? Marry me? If you are my wife legally, then you are not his wife anymore. The law is not much, but it is something. And I can protect you better if you are at my ranch. He does not know me, does not know where I live. We can keep you hidden until we figure out a permanent solution." "That is insane," Lily said. "You do not know me, you do not love me. Why would you do this?" Carter met her eyes steadily. Maybe I do not know you well yet, but I know enough. I know you are brave and strong. I know you deserve better than what you have had. And maybe I do not love you yet, but I could. I think maybe I already am starting to. Tears filled her eyes. You cannot mean that. You found me a week ago. I have never been more serious about anything in my life, Carter said. I am not saying this will be a real marriage, not right away. You have been through hell and you need time to heal. But on paper, if you are my wife, it gives you protection. It gives us options. He will kill you, Lily whispered. He can try, Carter said grimly. What do you say, Lily? Will you marry me? She looked at him for a long moment, searching his face for something. He did not know what she found there, but eventually, slowly, she nodded. Yes, she said. I will marry you. They married the next day in Dr. Patterson's office with the doctor and Martha as witnesses. The preacher, Reverend Thomas, asked few questions, though his eyes were kind as he looked at Lily's bandaged feet and thin frame. In a frontier town, people did not pry too deeply into others' business. Carter had brought a ring, a simple gold band that had belonged to his mother. When he slipped it onto Lily's finger, her hand trembled, and he saw tears in her eyes. He wondered what she was thinking, if she was remembering her first wedding, if she was terrified of making another mistake. He wanted to tell her he was nothing like Randall Morgan, that he would never hurt her, but actions would speak louder than words. After the ceremony, Carter smuggled Lily out of town in the back of a wagon, hidden under blankets and supplies. It was risky, but they managed it without being seen. The ride to his ranch took an hour, the wagon jostling over rough terrain. Carter drove carefully, conscious of Lily's still healing feet, though she did not complain. His ranch house was modest but well built, a log structure with 2 bedrooms, a main room with a stone fireplace and a kitchen. It was clean and comfortable, though decidedly masculine in its furnishings. Carter had not had a woman's touch in his home since his mother died 5 years ago. He carried Lily inside, and she looked around with wide eyes. "It is beautiful," she said. "It is home," Carter said. "You're home now, for as long as you need it." He set her down gently on the sofa near the fireplace and built up the fire. His foreman, Jacob, had been out checking the herd, but Carter knew he would be back soon. He needed to explain the situation, and he hoped Jacob would be understanding. The man had worked for him for 3 years and was as loyal as they came, but bringing home a wife out of nowhere would require some explanation. Jacob arrived as the sun was setting, his weathered face breaking into a surprised smile when he saw Lily. Carter took him aside and explained the situation quietly. Jacob listened, his expression growing serious. "This could bring trouble," Jacob said. "I know," Carter agreed, "but I could not leave her, and now she is my wife, so the trouble is coming regardless." Jacob studied him for a moment, then nodded. "All right then. I will make sure the boys know to keep an eye out. If this Morgan fellow comes around, we will handle it." "Thank you," Carter said, relief flooding through him. Over the next few weeks, Lily settled into life at the ranch. Her feet healed slowly, the bandages eventually coming off, though Dr. Patterson warned her to be careful. She would always have some scarring, but she could walk again, and that was a miracle. Carter gave her the larger bedroom and took the smaller one for himself. He did not want to pressure her, did not want her to feel trapped in another marriage she did not choose. He had meant what he said about this being whatever she needed it to be, but something unexpected happened as the weeks turned into a month and then 2. They grew closer. Not through grand gestures or dramatic declarations, but through the quiet moments of daily life. Lily learned to cook his favorite meals, and he showed her how to ride one of his gentler horses. They talked in the evenings by the fire, sharing stories about their pasts, their hopes for the future. She laughed more, the shadows in her eyes slowly fading. Carter found himself falling in love with her for real. It was not just her beauty or her bravery anymore. It was the way she hummed when she cooked, the way she had befriended the ranch dogs, the way she watched the sunset with wonder in her eyes like she was seeing the world fresh for the first time. It was the way she looked at him sometimes when she thought he was not paying attention, something soft and wondering in her expression. But he did not tell her how he felt. He was afraid of scaring her, of making her feel obligated because he had helped her. He wanted her to choose him freely if she chose him at all. The confrontation they had been dreading came in early April. Carter was working with one of the horses in the corral when Jacob came running from the house, his face grim. "Riders coming," he said. "4 of them." Carter's blood ran cold. He secured the horse and grabbed his rifle from the barn. "Get the other men. Tell them to be ready but to stay out of sight, and make sure Lily stays in the house." Jacob nodded and ran off. Carter positioned himself in front of the ranch house, rifle in hand, and waited. The riders appeared a few minutes later, 4 men on horseback. The one in front matched the description Lily had given him of Randall Morgan, a big man with hard eyes and a cruel mouth. The man next to him wore a sheriff's badge. They reined in their horses about 20 feet from Carter, and the sheriff spoke first. "We are looking for Lily Morgan. We have reason to believe she might be here." "And who might you be?" Carter asked, though he knew exactly who they were. "Sheriff Martin Morgan from Rawlins." "This is Randall Morgan, and we are looking for his wife. She is mentally unwell and wandered away from home. We have been searching for months." "That is funny," Carter said calmly, though his heart was pounding, "because Lily Irving, my wife, is right inside. And she is perfectly well, mind and body." Randall's face turned purple with rage. "That is my wife, and you have been hiding her." "She is my wife," Carter repeated, his voice hard. "We married 2 months ago. It is all legal and proper, performed by Reverend Thomas in Johnson City. I have the certificate if you want to see it." "That marriage is not valid," Randall shouted. "She was already married to me, was she?" Carter said. "Because she tells it different. She says you held her prisoner, abused her, nearly killed her. She ran rather than spend another day with you. When I found her, she was barefoot in the snow, bleeding and freezing." "What kind of husband does that to his wife?" The sheriff held up a hand. "Now hold on. Randall, you said she just wandered off." "She lies," Randall spat. "She always lies. She belongs to me and I am taking her back." "You are not taking anyone anywhere," Carter said, raising his rifle slightly. It was not quite aimed at them, but the threat was clear. "Lily has made her choice. She is my wife now. If you have a legal challenge to make, take it to a judge. But you are not setting foot on my property and you are not coming near her." "You have no idea who you are dealing with," Randall said, his voice low and dangerous. "I will destroy you. I will burn this ranch to the ground. I will kill everyone you care about." "Big words," Carter said. "But here is the thing, Morgan. You may be used to getting away with hurting someone weaker than you, someone isolated and alone. But Lily is not alone anymore. She has me. She has the people of this ranch, and if you come after any of us, there will be consequences." From the corners of his eyes, he could see his ranch hands emerging from various positions, all armed. There were 5 of them, including Jacob, all loyal, all ready to fight if necessary. The odds had just shifted significantly. Sheriff Morgan assessed the situation, and Carter could see the calculation in his eyes. Whatever family loyalty he felt toward his brother, he was not stupid enough to start a shootout he might not win. "This is not over," the sheriff said. "Yes, it is," Carter replied. "It is over because Lily is never going back. She is my wife, and she is under my protection. Tell you what, Sheriff, why don't you ask around in Johnson City? Ask Dr. Patterson about the state she was in when I brought her there. Ask Reverend Thomas about our marriage. Ask anyone in town. They will tell you the truth about what your brother did to her." The sheriff's face had gone pale. Carter pressed his advantage. "And if you want to push this, we can. We can go to the territorial governor. We can make a lot of noise about a sheriff who protects his brother's abuse." "I do not think that would go well for you." It was a bluff, mostly. Carter had no idea if the governor would care or do anything about it, but the threat was enough to give the sheriff pause. Randall started to spur his horse forward, rage overcoming sense, but the sheriff grabbed his arm. "Randall, no, not like this." "She is mine," Randall roared. "She is not," Carter said flatly. "She never was, not really. You just thought you owned her because you could hurt her and no one stopped you, but that is done now." The confrontation might have escalated further, but the front door of the ranch house opened and Lily stepped out. Carter's heart lurched. He had wanted her to stay inside, stay safe, but she walked forward with her head held high, her steps only slightly uneven from her still healing feet. She stopped beside Carter and he could feel her trembling, but her voice was steady when she spoke. "I am not going back, Randall. I would rather die. Carter is my husband now and this is my home." "You made vows to me," Randall said, his voice shaking with barely contained violence. "Before God, you made vows. You broke those vows every day you hurt me," Lily said. "Every day you starved me, hit me, locked me away. Those vows are dust. I made new vows to a man who treats me with kindness and respect. I choose Carter. I will always choose him over you." Something in Carter's chest expanded at her words. She met his eyes briefly and he saw truth there, not just defiance of Randall but genuine feeling for him. It took his breath away. Randall made one more attempt to dismount, but the sheriff jerked him back forcefully. "We are leaving. Now." He looked at Carter. "You have made powerful enemies today." "I can live with that," Carter said. He stood with Lily beside him, his ranch hands arrayed around them, and watched as the 4 riders turned and left. They did not speak until the riders were completely out of sight. Then Lily turned to him and he saw tears streaming down her face, but they were not tears of fear. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for standing up for me. No one has ever done that before." Carter set down his rifle and pulled her into his arms. She came willingly, her body fitting against his like she belonged there. "Always," he said into her hair. "I will always stand up for you. I meant what I said, Lily. You are my wife." She pulled back just enough to look up at him, her brown eyes searching his face. "When I said I choose you, I meant it. Not just as protection from Randall. I choose you, Carter. I am falling in love with you." The words hit him like a physical force. "You mean that?" "I have never meant anything more," she said. "I know it has only been a few months. I know this started as a way to keep me safe. But somewhere along the way, it became real for me. You have given me more than safety. You have given me my life back. You have shown me what it means to be treated with kindness and respect. How could I not fall in love with you?" Carter kissed her then, unable to hold back any more. It was gentle and careful, aware of all she had been through, but when she kissed him back with equal fervor, he felt hope surge through him. This remarkable woman who had survived so much was choosing him. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. "I love you, Lily Irving. I think I started falling for you the moment I saw you in the snow, so damn stubborn and brave. I want this to be a real marriage in every way if you want that too." "I want that," she said, smiling through her tears. "I want all of it. A real marriage, a real life. With you." That night, for the first time, Lily came to Carter's room instead of sleeping alone. They made love slowly, carefully, Carter hyper-aware of her past trauma, constantly checking that she was all right. But Lily met him with passion and trust that humbled him, showing him without words that she was ready for this, that she wanted him as much as he wanted her. Afterward, lying tangled together in his bed, Lily traced patterns on his chest. "I never thought I could feel this way," she said softly. "Safe and loved. Happy." "Get used to it," Carter said, kissing the top of her head. "Because I plan to make you feel this way every day for the rest of our lives." The weeks that followed were among the happiest Carter had ever known. He and Lily were truly married now in every sense, and the joy she brought to his life was immeasurable. She bloomed like a flower finally given sun and water, her laughter becoming a regular sound around the ranch. She took an interest in everything, learning to help with the horses, tending a small garden, befriending the ranch hands who all grew protective of her. But the shadow of Randall Morgan still loomed. Carter knew the man was not finished. Men like that never were. He kept guards posted, made sure someone was always at the ranch with Lily when he had to go to town. He slept lighter than he used to, one ear always alert for trouble. The trouble came in June, 3 months after the confrontation. Carter had gone to Johnson City to pick up supplies, leaving Jacob and 2 other hands at the ranch. He was loading the wagon when he heard the news. Randall Morgan was dead, killed in a shooting in Rawlins. The details were sketchy. Apparently, Randall had gotten drunk and picked a fight with the wrong person, a gunfighter passing through town. The gunfighter had shot him in self-defense, with multiple witnesses confirming that Randall had drawn first. The sheriff, Martin Morgan, had been forced to rule it a justified killing. Carter stood in the street, the news washing over him in waves of relief and disbelief. It seemed almost too convenient, too neat. But as more people told the story, the details remained consistent. Randall Morgan was dead, and it had nothing to do with Carter or Lily. It was just the violent end that often came to violent men. He drove the wagon back to the ranch faster than was probably safe, needing to tell Lily, needing to see her face when she learned she was truly free. He found her hanging laundry, humming to herself, the Wyoming sun turning her dark hair almost black. When she saw him, her face lit up with a smile that still had the power to knock the breath from his lungs. "You are back early," she said. Carter climbed down from the wagon and went to her, taking her hands. "I have news. Randall is dead." All the color drained from her face. "What? How?" He told her everything he had heard, watching as she processed it. A range of emotions crossed her face, too quick to fully identify. Relief, certainly. But also something that might have been grief, not for Randall but for the girl she had been when she married him, for the years lost to fear and pain. "He is really gone," she said finally, and it was not a question. "He is really gone," Carter confirmed. Lily let out a long breath and her eyes filled with tears. "I do not have to be afraid anymore." "You never had to be afraid," Carter said gently. "Not once you came here. But yes, now you are free in every way. No one will ever hurt you again. I promise you that." She threw her arms around his neck and held on tight. Carter held her, feeling her tears soak into his shirt, feeling the way her body shook with the release of tension she had been carrying for so long. When she finally pulled back, her face was blotchy from crying but also lighter somehow, like a burden had been lifted. "I want to have a life with you," she said. "A real life without fear hanging over us. I want to build something beautiful here." "Then that is what we will do," Carter promised. And they did. As the seasons changed and years began to pass, Lily and Carter built a life that was everything they had dreamed of. The ranch prospered under their joint efforts. Lily had a good head for business, and together they expanded their herd, bought more land, built a larger house when the original one became too small. Their first child was born in the spring of 1880, a son they named James after Carter's father. Carter had never known such terror as the hours Lily spent in labor, pacing outside the bedroom while Dr. Patterson and Martha tended to her. But when he finally heard his son's cry and was allowed inside to see Lily exhausted but smiling with their baby in her arms, he felt a completeness he had not known was possible. "He is perfect," Lily said, looking up at Carter with exhausted joy. "We made someone perfect." Carter kissed her forehead, then gently touched his son's tiny hand, marveling when the baby's fingers wrapped around his. "You are perfect," he told Lily. "Thank you for this gift." Their second child, a daughter named Rose, came 2 years later, followed by another son, Daniel, 2 years after that. The house that had been so quiet when Carter lived alone was now filled with noise and laughter and life. He loved every chaotic moment of it. Lily proved to be a devoted mother, though Carter sometimes saw shadows cross her face, and he knew she was thinking about the children she might have had with Randall, what their lives would have been like. He was grateful beyond words that she had escaped, that their children would grow up knowing only love and security. As the children grew, Carter made sure they knew their mother's story, age appropriately, of course. He wanted them to understand the strength she had, the courage it took to walk away from abuse even when it nearly killed her. He wanted his sons to grow up respecting women, treating them as equals and partners. He wanted his daughter to grow up knowing her worth, knowing she never had to accept mistreatment from anyone. The years were not without challenges. Ranching was hard work, subject to the whims of weather and market prices. There were droughts and harsh winters, illnesses and injuries. But through it all, Carter and Lily faced everything together, their love deepening with each passing year. They became pillars of the Johnson City community. Lily joined the church auxiliary and helped establish a school. Carter served on the town council. They were known as a couple who had overcome hardship, though the full details of Lily's past were known only to a few trusted friends. She had left Lily Morgan behind and become Lily Irving fully, the woman she was always meant to be. One evening, when they had been married nearly 15 years, Carter sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the Wyoming sky in shades of orange and pink. Lily came out and settled beside him, fitting naturally into the curve of his arm. Their children were inside doing homework, the sounds of their banter floating through the open windows. "You remember the day you found me?" Lily asked quietly. Carter looked at her, at the silver threads in her dark hair, the laugh lines around her eyes, the peace in her expression. "Every detail," he said. "I thought you were a ghost at first, something the snow was showing me that could not be real." "I wanted to die that day," Lily said. "I had given up, and then you appeared, stubborn and bossy, refusing to let me give up." "Best decision I ever made," Carter said. "Finding you, marrying you, building this life together. I would not change a single moment of it." Lily smiled and kissed him softly. "Neither would I. You gave me more than warmth that day, Carter. You gave me my life back. You gave me love and safety and a family. You gave me everything." "You gave me just as much," Carter said. "You taught me what real strength looks like. You made this house a home. You gave me children and laughter and purpose. We saved each other, I think." They sat together as the sun set, two people who had found each other against impossible odds and built something beautiful from pain and fear. The scars of the past would always be there, faint but real, reminders of how far they had come. But they no longer defined either of them. They were simply Lily and Carter Irving, partners in every sense, bound by love that had grown from the most unlikely beginnings into something unshakable. When the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, they went inside to their children, to the life they had built together. And in the warmth of their home, surrounded by love, Lily looked at Carter and felt a gratitude so profound it brought tears to her eyes. She had walked barefoot through the snow toward death and instead found life, found love, found home. And Carter, looking at his wife and children, felt the same profound gratitude. He had been riding through the mountains on a cold January morning, and his life had changed forever, when he saw a woman walking barefoot in the snow. He had given her his coat and his warmth, but she had given him so much more. She had given him a reason to be a better man, a family to protect and love, a purpose beyond just surviving. Their story was one the people of Johnson City told for generations after. The cowboy who found a frozen woman on the trail and married her to keep her safe, and the love that grew between them that was stronger than fear, stronger than violence, stronger than the harsh Wyoming winters. It was a story of rescue and redemption, of two broken people becoming whole together. Years continued to pass in the way they do, marked by birthdays and holidays, by seasons changing and children growing. James grew tall like his father, with Carter's steady temperament and Lily's quick mind. He took to ranching naturally, learning everything his father could teach him. Rose was fierce and independent, with her mother's determination and her father's kind heart. She talked about becoming a teacher, wanting to help other children the way her mother helped the community. Daniel was the dreamer, always with a book in his hand, talking about seeing the world beyond Wyoming while also loving his home fiercely. Lily and Carter grew old together, their love not diminishing with age but transforming, becoming something comfortable and deep and unshakable. They knew each other's rhythms, could communicate with a glance, moved through their days in partnership so natural it seemed like they had always been together. When their children were grown with families of their own, when the ranch had been partially turned over to James to run, Carter and Lily found themselves with time they had not had in years. They took rides together through the mountains, just the two of them like they used to. They sat on the porch in the evenings, holding hands and watching the sun set. They traveled a bit, visiting Daniel in San Francisco, where he had become a journalist, attending Rose's wedding to a good man who loved her fiercely. On their 20th wedding anniversary, Carter took Lily back to the spot where he had found her. It was summer now instead of winter, the trail green and alive instead of frozen and dead, but the place was unmistakable. "Right here," Carter said, dismounting and helping Lily down. "You were walking right here when I saw you." Lily looked around, remembering. It was strange to see this place in summer, beautiful and peaceful. It had been hell when she walked through it, but it had also been her salvation. If she had not been desperate enough to run, if Carter had not happened to ride by, if 1,000 small things had not aligned perfectly, where would she be? Dead, probably. Or still trapped in that cabin with Randall until he finally killed her. Either way, she would not have had these 20 years of happiness. She would not have her children, her home, her life. "Thank you," she said to Carter, not for the first time and not for the last. "For stopping, for caring, for loving me." Carter pulled her close, and they stood together on that spot where their story had begun. "Always," he said. "I will always love you, Lily, until my last breath and beyond." They stood there for a long time, two people who had found each other in impossible circumstances and built a life that was better than either had dared to dream. The Wyoming wind blew around them, carrying the scent of wildflowers and grass, and in the distance, a hawk called. Eventually, they mounted their horses and rode back toward home, back toward the ranch where their grandchildren would be waiting, where dinner would be cooking and life would be carrying on in its beautiful, ordinary way. And as they rode, Lily looked at Carter, at his weathered face and the gray in his hair and the love in his eyes that had never dimmed. And she felt a contentment so complete, it was almost overwhelming. She had walked barefoot through the snow toward death, and instead found the truest life she could have imagined. She had been given warmth when she was frozen, safety when she was hunted, love when she had thought herself unlovable. And in return, she had given Carter a family, a home filled with laughter, a partnership that sustained them both. Their story was not one of grand adventures or dramatic heroics, though it had started dramatically enough. It was a story of everyday love, of choosing each other again and again through ordinary days and extraordinary challenges. It was a story of healing and hope, of second chances and new beginnings. And it was a story that had a happy ending, the kind where two people who had every reason to be broken found wholeness in each other, where love was not just a feeling but a choice made over and over until it became as natural as breathing, where a cowboy and the woman he found freezing in the snow built something that lasted, something beautiful, something worth every hardship they had endured to find each other. As the sun set on their 20th anniversary, painting the sky in brilliant colors, Lily and Carter Irving rode home together. Two people who had found love in the most unexpected way and held on to it with everything they had. And in the warmth of their life together, surrounded by family and friendship and the land they loved, they lived out their days in the happiness they had fought so hard to find. Their grandchildren would grow up hearing the story, passed down through generations, about the woman who walked barefoot in the snow and the cowboy who could not leave her to die, about love that grew from desperation into something strong and lasting, about how sometimes salvation comes not in the form we expect, but in exactly the form we need. And on cold winter days, when the snow fell on the Wyoming mountains, someone would always remember to tell the story, to remind everyone that even in the darkest moments, even when hope seems lost, sometimes a stranger will come along and change everything. Sometimes courage and kindness are enough. Sometimes love is worth fighting for, worth walking through fire or snow for, worth building a whole life around. The ranch thrived for generations after, always staying in the Irving family, a testament to what Lily and Carter had built together. And while the details of their daily lives faded with time as all details do, the essence of their story remained. A story of rescue and love, of two people who needed each other finding each other at exactly the right moment, of warmth given and received that changed two lives forever. In the end, that was their legacy, not just the land or the family name, but the proof that love could heal even the deepest wounds, that kindness mattered, that choosing to help someone in need could change everything. That sometimes the most important decision you make is to stop when others would have ridden past, to care when caring is difficult, to love when love seems impossible. Carter and Lily Irving lived long lives filled with more joy than sorrow, more laughter than tears. They grew old together on their ranch in Wyoming, surrounded by children and grandchildren and eventually great-grandchildren, their love story becoming the foundation on which generations built their own lives. And when they finally passed, first Carter and then Lily a few years later, they left behind a legacy of love that endured. Their graves sat on a hill overlooking the ranch, side by side as they had been in life, the inscription simple but meaningful. Here lie Carter and Lily Irving, beloved husband and wife, who found each other in the snow and built a life in the warmth of love. The dates of their births and deaths were there, spanning lives well lived, and fresh flowers appeared regularly, brought by family who remembered and honored them. And sometimes, on winter days when the snow fell soft and white over Wyoming, people would stand at those graves and remember the story, about the barefoot woman and the cowboy who saved her, about love that conquered fear and cruelty, about warmth that changed the world. It was a story that deserved to be remembered, and it was, because it proved something important, something that people needed to believe, That salvation could come from unexpected places. That love could grow even from the most traumatic beginnings. That choosing kindness and courage could change lives in ways impossible to predict. The Irving family continued to grow and prosper, each generation adding to the legacy while honoring the foundation Lily and Carter had built. The ranch expanded over the years, adapted to changing times, but never lost the essential character that its founders had given it. It remained a place of hard work and integrity, of family and love, of people who understood that what you built mattered less than how you treated the people around you. And in Johnson City, Wyoming, the story of Lily and Carter Irving became legend. The kind of story people told to give themselves hope, to remind themselves that even in darkness there could be light, that even in the coldest winter there could be warmth, that even when you thought you were walking toward death, you might instead be walking toward life and love, and everything you had ever wanted but been afraid to hope for. It was a story that ended happily, the way the best stories do. Not with perfection, because life is never perfect, but with love and family and purpose. With two people who had found each other against all odds and held on through everything. With a life built from nothing into something beautiful and lasting. And that, in the end, was everything. That was the whole story. A cowboy riding through the snow, a woman walking barefoot toward death, and a moment of connection that changed two lives forever. A choice to stop, to care, to love. A choice made again and again through 20 years, and then 40, and then a lifetime, until love was not just something they felt but something they were, woven so deeply into their beings that it was impossible to separate them from it. They had found warmth in each other, Lily and Carter. Not just physical warmth on that frozen trail, though that had started it, but emotional warmth, spiritual warmth, the kind of warmth that sustained them through everything life threw at them. They had given each other the greatest gift possible, the gift of being fully known and fully loved, of being safe and cherished and home. And in doing so, they had changed each other's worlds completely. Carter had given Lily freedom and safety and a chance to be who she was meant to be. Lily had given Carter purpose and family, and a love deeper than he had known was possible. Together, they had built something that outlasted them, that echoed through generations, that proved love was not just a feeling but a force that could change everything. That was their story. That was their legacy. Two people who met in the worst circumstances imaginable and created the best life possible. Who walked through snow and fear and found warmth and love on the other side. Who proved that sometimes, when you are at your lowest, when you have given up hope, salvation can appear in the form of a stranger who becomes the love of your life. And they lived happily, truly happily, building a life that was everything they had fought for and more. Their love story was one for the ages, told and retold, inspiring others who faced their own hardships to hold on, to keep going, to believe that love and warmth could be found even in the coldest moments. The warmth Carter gave Lily that day on the frozen trail, wrapping her in his coat and holding her close on the ride to Johnson City, was just the beginning. The real warmth came in the days and weeks and years that followed, in every kind word and gentle touch, in every moment of partnership and understanding, in every choice to love even when love was hard. That warmth sustained them through everything, grew and deepened with time, until it was the very foundation of their lives. And when their time finally came to leave this world, they did so knowing they had lived fully, loved completely, and left behind something beautiful. They had changed each other's worlds, and in doing so, had changed the world around them, ripples of love and kindness spreading out through their children and grandchildren, and everyone they touched. That was the story of Lily and Carter Irving. A love story born in snow and desperation, nurtured through patience and courage, and fulfilled through a lifetime of choosing each other. A story that proved love could conquer fear, warmth could heal cold, and two broken people could become whole together. A story with a happy ending, the kind we all hope for but few are lucky enough to find. And it all started with a cowboy who could not ride past a woman in need, and a woman brave enough to walk barefoot through snow toward an uncertain future. They found each other in the worst moment of her life, and from that moment grew the best life either of them could have imagined. They gave each other warmth, and in that warmth, everything changed. Everything became possible. Everything became beautiful.